The Clone Wars often runs into trouble with its longer 4-episode story arcs. More often than not, the series fails to justify spending so much time with one conflict and one group of characters. That's certainly been the case with The Bad Batch. With Unfinished Business finally wrapping up the story of Echo and his kooky clone saviors, it's a solid finish to an overly lengthy Star Wars adventure, but also one that proves just a bit too anticlimactic in the end. As with Episode 3, this finale has no trouble boosting the scale of the conflict, especially with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Mace Windu joining Anakin in the fight to reclaim Anaxis.
We have more than a dozen active battlefronts on Anaxis, and we are losing nearly everyone.
Dividing the conflict between Obi-Wan and Mace on the ground and Anakin's team aboard the Separatist dreadnought helps keep the battle fresh, at least for the first 2 acts. Eventually, this episode devolves into the same sort of claustrophobic running and gunning that was so prevalent in the first 2 chapters of Bad Batch. But up until that point, the combination of Mace slaughtering droids and Bad Batch turning Admiral Trench's precious algorithm against him helps keep the excitement factor high. The Jedi characters tend to steal the show in this episode. The series has never really devoted as much time to fleshing out Mace as you might expect, given how important he is in Episode 3. And while there's not much in the way of actual character development for him here, he does make for a thoroughly entertaining hero.
Does this meet your expectations?
This exceeds my expectations.
However, it's Anakin who really shines here. Now we get to see a much closer glimpse of how close Anakin is to falling to the dark side. His attack on Trench's command center purposely calls back to Episode 3 with the low-angle shot of Anakin igniting his lightsaber. That scene is basically a mashup of Anakin's youngling killing spree and his slaughter of the Separatist leaders on Mustafar. It's chilling to watch him callously torture Trench, even openly admitting he's willing to cross lines ordinary Jedi never would. If this season succeeds at nothing else, at least it'll bridge that final gap between the animated series and the movie where Anakin's arc is concerned.
I don't have such weaknesses. Now let's try that again.
I can't wait to see how Ahsoka's return will impact a Jedi who's already clearly in a great deal of turmoil. It's just a shame this episode doesn't do more with its clone protagonist. Echo at least gets his moment in the spotlight, but the fact that all 4 members of the Bad Batch make it through the entire storyline with nary a scratch seems like a questionable choice. This arc dragged on longer than it needed to, but only because it didn't take full advantage of the dramatic storytelling possibilities available. Let's hope these next 2 Ahsoka arcs are different.
You've got some medals coming your way.
Thank you, General.
Unfinished Business is nothing if not an entertaining finish to the Bad Batch arc. It's crammed full of epic action, once again showcasing just how much the animation quality has improved in this final season. It also makes strong use of supporting Jedi characters like Mace Windu and Anakin Skywalker, with the latter taking a disturbing step closer to becoming Darth Vader. Unfortunately, that can't prevent this episode from ending the arc on a somewhat anticlimactic note. It doesn't do enough to explore the emotional toll of Echo's imprisonment and the full weight of his decision to part ways with Rex. For more Clone Wars, check out our series recap in 4 minutes and our review of Episode 3. Subscribe to IGN wherever you like to watch.